Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you try, something just keeps pulling you back into these old patterns, these old habits, these routines that you're trying to break free from? It's not that you're lazy or unmotivated. This is literally by design. This is your ego. This is the part of you that is this protector part of you. And it's doing exactly what it is designed to do. It's keeping you safe, even if that means keeping you stuck. So in this video today, we're gonna go discuss the ego, what the ego is, how the brain and the subconscious play a huge role, and how to begin transcending it, moving past this, but moving past this in a way of love and care for yourself instead of like hating yourself into it. Okay, so if you're ready, strap in, hang on, and let's go for a ride. So what is the ego? The ego is the identity part of you that you form to survive, okay, not to thrive. Basically, the ego is kind of like this mental construct. That's a sense of self. It's been created from memories, identities, beliefs, past experiences, and it's kind of all meshed into this sense of this is who I am, but it's not truly who you are. It's just who you've learned to be. It's how you've learned to survive. It's who you've learned to be in order to feel safe, in order to feel accepted, and in order to feel in control, okay, which ties in with safety as well. In early childhood, we begin forming this ego and identity based on how we're treated, how the environment kind of responds to us, and what we're rewarded or what we're punished for. The ego comes out of this as a protector. The ego is a protector. The ego is not bad, okay? I want to stress that so much in this video, that the ego is not bad. There's nothing wrong with ego. We need our ego. But we need to love our ego, and we need to see that as not who we really are, but it is a part of us. Okay, so the ego emerges, it wants to protect us by avoiding pain, securing love, and navigating through this world that often teaches us that we're really not enough as we are, which is false. Okay, that's just totally false. It's like the psychological immune system, filtering reality through lenses of fear, defense, and perceived separation. That's essentially the ego. And Eckhart Tolle in A New Earth says the ego is the false self born out of fear and defensiveness, which is pretty on the money. Oh, and the brain. So neurologically, the ego is tied to pattern recognition and survival circuitry in the brain. The amygdala part of our brain is scanning for danger, okay, and fuels this fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response, which I have talked about in a previous video. The default mode network is active when we're self-referencing or we're thinking about ourselves, our past, or others' opinions. So we're going into our brain and we're thinking about everything that we can tie this experience that's happening in the world. We're trying to reference that back to us and the part of our lives, which is tied to this ego. The ego thrives on familiarity, even if it's painful, because for the brain, what's familiar is safe. So if you grew up in, which if you exist on this earth right now, I can tell you, you have some trauma. You have some sort of trauma in some way, shape, or form. That's kind of just the name of the game right now, okay? So if you grew up and you have some sort of trauma, your brain is going to sense that as familiar, and your brain is going to sense that as safe in a way. So you might keep finding yourself in these patterns, in these loops. And I want to really stress that that's okay. Like, this is okay. This is why you're watching this video. This is why we're doing this work, is to, I just felt super emotional just now, but it's to kind of see that you're more than these patterns. You're more than this. And to really play the game is to expand with outside of that. And in order to expand outside of that, we need these experiences. We need to experience things that are going to put trauma in our body. Okay, so let's get back on track there. This is why we often repeat these old patterns, these old cycles, or we're kind of resisting change even when we consciously were like, I really want to transform, like, vision board type of thing. This is what I see for my future, but like, this is safe and this is familiar. Modern spiritual teachings, such as Eckhart Tolle's A Course in Miracles, the ego is kind of seen as this illusion of separation. So it's this voice of fear, it's this voice of control, it's this voice of comparison, of judgment, and the ego is typically stuck in the past or present, not present, the past or future thinking, okay? It's this belief that we are isolated, that we are separate from everything and everyone else. The ego lives and thrives through comparison, and it needs to be right. It's hard for the ego to exist in this state of peace because that's not its role, that's not its job, and that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. The ego has a specific job, it has a specific function. We wouldn't exist without it. We wouldn't have this human experience without it. So a big part of ego work is honoring the ego, as weird as that sounds. Like, I honor you because you are part of me, but you're not me. You're not the full me. You're not the full aspect. So it's all about learning how to work and operate with this ego part of us, this protector part of us. So some key characteristics of the ego: it needs validation, praise, or control. It identifies with roles, with status, with possessions, or with trauma. It uses fear and doubt to protect you. It seeks comfort and it avoids growth because it sees growth as unsafe or unfamiliar. It really cannot stand uncertainty, so it always tries to figure it out. Okay? Common signs that your ego is keeping you stuck: fear of failure or success, constant overthinking, needing to be right, staying in the familiar even when it's painful, but it feels comfortable, perfectionism or procrastination, and self-sabotage when things are going really well. Here's an example from my own personal life. I really want to put more videos on YouTube. I want to help more people with long-form content, and I really enjoy doing it when I sit down and do it. Like, I really enjoy doing it, but it's unfamiliar to me. It's uncharted territory. So sometimes I'll sit down to make a video and I'll have these thoughts come in my head. Oh, you're not in the right headspace right now. Like, you're gonna stumble, you're gonna mess up, like you're not in the right energy. Like, maybe you should just do this when you're in a better space. But something I'm learning is oftentimes the present moment, well, pretty much 100% of the time, the present moment is the best space to be in. Like, it's the only space that truly exists. And so my ego will want me to stop. It will want me to stop momentum. And then sometimes when I'm on a roll and I'm being able to post more content and more videos, it pulls me back. And it's like, no, that's not right. No. And then the overthinking starts. And this is all ego work. And this is something I'm working through right now. So if you can relate to this, like, hey, I'm right there with you. And that's okay. And that's okay because I recognize this part of myself and I see what it's doing. And sometimes I listen to it. And sometimes I fall. And, we're human. And that's okay. But it's about getting back up. And it's about beginning to tune in to that truer self, that soul part of you. So I like to say the true self versus the ego. And it's about tuning more into that true self and like lowering the volume on that ego noise. But first, it takes the understanding of what the ego is. So what is the ego versus the true self? Like, what is the true self? The true self, or the higher self, that part of you that's true, is calm. It's responsive. It's love-centered. It's heart-centered. Okay? This is normal. This is who we really are. It surrenders to flow, and it lives in presence, and it knows it already is. So it doesn't have to seek to become anything other than what it already is. It already is. And the ego is reactive, defensive, compared to that calm, responsive. Okay, the ego is fear-driven compared to that love, that heart-centered. The ego is attached to outcomes compared to that surrendering to the flow. That ego lives in these stories and these labels compared to living in this presence. And the ego seeks to be someone compared to knowing that it already is. So these are kind of a few differentiating factors that you can, if you're feeling this, like, oh my gosh, I'm attached to this story, I'm attached to this label, well, you're probably letting the ego talk. And that's okay, because the ego is going to talk. It's up to you if you want to listen to it. And the quickest way to kind of move through this is just to say thank you. It's to say thank you, ego. Thank you for trying to keep me safe. Like, I see what you're doing. I see why you're doing it. I honor you. I love you. But we're done with this pattern. Like, we're done with this. And I want to move into more of my true state of being. I want to move into that more, that calm, that responsive, that heart-centered, that surrendered, that present person. And that's really who I want to be. So it's up to you. It's up to you to call the shots. It's up to you to differentiate between, is this my ego operating the show, or is this me? Is this my true self? Okay? And it's okay if your ego's operating the show. Like, we're humans. Like, we're humans. We're egoic creatures. It's just a part of us. We do not demonize the ego here. We do not demonize the ego. We love the ego, okay? We just don't have to fucking listen to it all the time. How to break free from this grip of the ego? Well, number one, you already know, awareness. Awareness is the first step. And just understanding the ego's role and what it does, like everything we've talked about previously, when you understand that and really realize why this function is in place, you can honor it a little bit more and you can become aware of it. So you really can't change what you're not aware of. So I want you to start to observe your internal dialogue. Is your internal dialogue more fear-based or is it more love-based? The ego voice is often going to sound like, what will people think? I'm not ready. It's not safe to stay here. Whereas your truer self is going to sound like, even if I'm scared, like, I can still move forward. I can still do this. I trust myself. I trust my higher power. I am already worthy. I exist. Like, I exist. Of course I'm worthy. Let's go ahead and trust the next step. Let's trust that the higher power has a plan for us and we are everything. Like, let's go ahead and trust that. So, and this is a good practice, especially when you're stressed or when you're having a stressful moment. Deep breath, and then ask yourself, who's speaking right now? Who is speaking right now? Is this my ego or is this my true self? Okay? And when you can breathe, when you can recenter yourself, the answer is going to come pretty automatically and pretty intuitively. And that itself is like, you know, when you jump in a cold pool and it's like a shock factor, that is going to be like the cold pool to your brain. It's shocking you back into this truer, more natural state of being. You want to continue to break that loop because our subconscious mind operates on like these loop patterns, and we just get so used to letting these automatic habits run the show. So sometimes your ego is running the show automatically and you don't even know. So that's why it's important to check in and ask yourself, like, who is speaking right now? Oh, obviously it's the ego because it's thinking about what people are going to think, or like that I'm not ready, or that it's not safe. Obviously that's the ego. And that's so cute. That's so awesome. Like, I love you, ego. Thank you for protecting me, but I'm moving into my more truer state of being. Thank you. Okay? So, reprogramming the subconscious state. The ego, like we were saying, the subconscious mind operates like a pattern, loop pattern. So sometimes you don't even know that the ego is running the show because it's so subconscious. So transformation at that level is really important. And you can do this through meditation. Meditation is just quieting that external noise and like really feeling your internal world and listening to yourself and observing yourself. You know, affirmations are going to work from a relaxed state. You're trying to plant these new beliefs in repeatedly over time. And the affirmations can be like this higher self-talk. Even if I'm scared, I can still move forward. I am already worthy. You know, plant in these affirmations, connect them to that higher self-talk, and then repeat and repeat and repeat and just think. Hypnosis. Hypnosis is a great way to go into deep internal state and rewiring this mind pattern. And repetition plus heightened emotional states, okay? So emotional states, we as humans are these emotional creatures. And guys, emotions are your superpower, okay? They are your superpower. You can change your life through these waves of emotions, these currents in the body. A heightened emotional state and repetition is literally how something gets programmed into the subconscious mind. A belief plus a heightened emotional state is literally how something gets programmed into the subconscious mind. And that's a whole big topic. I'm going to make a whole other video about that because, yeah, it's important and it's powerful. But we're not going to get full on into that now because I could definitely talk for hours about that. And I'm sure no one wants that at this point in time. Okay? And you want to replace like this egoic talk with this higher self-talk. So like the ego is saying, I'm not enough to do this. What are people going to think? You say, I'm safe to be seen in my truth. It doesn't matter what people think. It matters what I feel and how I think. So replace, observe, rewire. It's like this dance and it's going to get easier over time. I promise you that. Okay? Visualization in this mental rehearsal. So your brain and your subconscious quite literally does not really understand the difference between what you're visualizing and what you're seeing in your mind versus what's happening in reality. That's why when you have like a really intense dream, you wake up sweating and your body's like palpitating, your heart's palpitating. That's because your mind and your body's thinking that this dream is actually happening to you. I used to have dreams all the time of these guys chasing me with guns and like pointing it at me and like and I would wake up like freaking out and palpitating, and I would have anxiety throughout the day because of these dreams, because my mind did not understand that that's just a dream state. And that's not actually what's going to happen in this walking third dimensional state right here. So visualization is huge, and you can use visualization to your advantage. Use it to mentally rehearse being confident and successful and peaceful and living from this truer self state. Visualize yourself meditating. And then when you sit down to meditate, your brain is already associating that with this is what we do and this is normal. So it's going to be so much easier. Like visualization is a cheat code. It really is. Visualization allows new neural pathways to build, and it's going to weaken this egoic based fear loops, these egoic patterns. So see yourself, visualize yourself choosing love, courage, aligned action. If you can see it in your mind, you'll experience it in life. Okay. Inner child work. So the ego is literally like, it's often inner child. It's the inner child in armor. Okay. So most ego defense were created in childhood, and most, if not all, ego defenses were created in childhood, because childhood is whenever you're literally in this programming state, like all the time. So these defenses in childhood, like, okay, for example, my go-to childhood pattern would be to go to my room and to go in the covers and like shut the door and like shut everyone out, like flight. And just, that was how I coped with things. And later in my adult life, I found myself continuing to cope with things that way. When myself and my partner would get in an argument, I would go in bed and I would be like, please don't talk to me. Please leave me alone. Because this is this ego pattern, this defense mechanism that has been programmed in since childhood. And we all have these. Okay, so we need to go back and we need to learn to love this little aspect of us, this inner child aspect of us. The ego says, don't try, it's not safe. And inner child work says, I'm here now. You are safe. Let my true self be your protector. Okay? So you can practice this. You can pick up a journal and start writing to your younger self. Start writing a letter to your younger self. And as you're writing, you're going to notice that things are just going to come through. It's going to be like a channel, and you're going to be able to connect with yourself in that way. So that's a practice I definitely recommend. The next step, you're going to want to take aligned action even when it's uncomfortable. And like telling myself this one too, because the ego is neutralized by experience. So each time you take action from love, from purpose, from truth, you're going to disempower that egoic voice quite a bit. Don't wait until the fear is gone. You want to dance with it. You want to move with it. You want to walk with it. Okay, confidence is built through evidence. It's not built through thoughts. It's not built through thinking. You're not going to think your way to it. You're going to show up for yourself in this powerful way, and you're going to grow it. Joseph Campbell said, the cave that you fear to enter often holds the treasure you seek. Fear is the ego's alarm system, okay? But fear is also the gateway to your freedom. It's the level up. It's your next expansion. Okay? So, while we have this momentum, while you have this energy from this video, go write that letter to your inner child right now. Or pick one thing that we discussed and, have a chat with your ego. Have a little sit-down talk. Go talk to your inner child. If you like this video, please please subscribe, please share, and come hang out with me on this journey of life, on this journey of exploration, the subconscious mind, the deep things. Let's learn, let's grow, let's create together. Thank you for being here.